Okay, sixth garden tour of 2023. We're starting here with the pink lemonade blueberry. Still alive, still doing okay. Really hopeful for next year that it will fruit. Then we have the other blueberry, which this fall I'll be lifting it because it's definitely settled a little too deep into this pot. And the fig tree has some new sprouts coming on it. I'm more just hopeful to not have it die back this winter, and then maybe next year I can get some figs. Have some new additions. These buckets and pots are all, and this one, that barrel, are all potatoes I just planted yesterday. Not sure season-wise if it will work, but I had some sprouted potatoes from spring, so I used those for seed, and they all got planted today. And then here is the pineapple, which is doing great. So I'm going to have to overwinter that. We have the papaya, which I'm actually happy that it's still this small because I can dig it up and try and overwinter it. Like I mentioned, that's a potato. This one's getting ready and waiting for garlic. And sweet potatoes going. This is also just 1,000,001 ants in there. If you move anything, suddenly there's like a heave of ants going crazy in there. So that's going to be fun when I have to get the potatoes out. All right, here in bed one, pretty much all weeds and mint. The only thing that I planted in here technically I planted the mint, but the only thing I planted this year in here that's still going well is this lavender. Not sure if we'll have enough time for it to bloom, but it is still alive. If it doesn't bloom, I might try and save it for next year. And then the callaloo all went to seed, and by letting it seed, I will probably continue to have callaloo in this bed for a long time to come. I did plant a second round of like zinnias, and that might be one trying to hold on with its two last leaves. But this is essentially mint and weeds. Come over here into bed two. We have a watermelon that I planted. Again, not sure if any of these are gonna make it before we get cold, but I figured I might as well try. And then a bean climbing there. The last remaining strawberry. I think I'm gonna move the strawberries next year. I'll leave this one, but I'll get some more and I'll plant them in a different bed next year over by the blackberry and see if the blackberry will continue to grow and give it some shade. We have calendula here, basil. This is a shishito pepper with lots of flowers on it. So hopefully lots of peppers to come. Definitely need to do some garden cleanup just overall. We have the zinnia back there, and come around this way. A serrano pepper front and center here, which is doing really well. Scotch bonnet back there. This pepper here is a cherry pepper, and there's another zinnia. Another callaloo going to seed. This is a purple bell pepper. This is supposed to be a chocolate Scotch bonnet, but this is the one that I was like, definitely not Scotch bonnet. Either something was crossed, or maybe it was like the bubblegum pepper or something I accidentally planted seeds for. But this is definitely not a chocolate Scotch bonnet. But it's doing well. And then the sorrel behind it is doing good. Another chocolate Scotch bonnet. Haven't had any peppers from here yet to confirm that it is chocolate or not. We got a massive lemongrass, and then hiding under the lemongrass is the eggplant. Eggplant right there doing well, and a calendula over there. Then we have our basil plants. The basil's really doing the best right now. I keep picking some to make basil lemonade. We have another Scotch bonnet there. Some tomatoes that I need to pull out, but at the same time, they do have some flowers on them. And it's kind of like, once you have flowers, I don't really need the space. Might as well just leave you alone and see what happens. We have snapdragons back there. And here are some Swiss chard. Alright, let's go to bed 4. Probably the most full bed at the moment. We'll start on this side. We have the Thai basil. I'm not particularly a fan of the flavor, so now I'm kind of just growing it for the bees to like the flowers. Some sweet alyssum here. A Scotch bonnet here in the front. Our rose in the middle. We also have these tomato plants that I didn't pull out, and they're back, they're growing flowers, so we're gonna leave them alone. And then here is a little bird pepper. The bird pepper has done fantastic through the heat. They just look great and they just keep flowering. Another Thai basil. But this one seems so much different from the first one we looked at. Like, the leaves just look a little bit bigger. The flowers are forming differently. Not sure why, because they're the same plant. I only had one type of Thai basil. The dandelion is done and needs to come out, or chicory is done and needs to come out. I did plant a future blooming cosmos in there last week. This is the Peruvian pepper, doing really well. Just waiting for some flowers. This weed here, I'm going to need to pull out. I actually kind of like the shape of the flower, so I left it alone, but I don't want all those seeds to drop and it just take over this bed. So I am gonna pull it out. Have basil back there. And this is the dahlia. Have yet to get a bloom out of it. I'm just gonna move it probably, because I have a hard time just killing plants that are, I mean, it's alive, but it's just not blooming. Although these keep me hopeful that maybe I will get blooms, but I think this is just not the right spot for it if it's not gonna bloom for me. Snapdragons, probably the best year for snapdragons, really. And another bird's eye pepper under there. Come over into bed 5. Again, snapdragons right here. We have another Scotch bonnet, a chocolate one, which wasn't chocolate. And then a zinnia. We have the Cuban oregano, or broadleaf thyme. And I put another watermelon down there. And then back here, this pepper here is another shishito, nice and tall. Just waiting for some blooms on it. Come this way. And this is another cherry pepper here, and another Scotch bonnet back there. This is the Korean mint here that's blooming. I expected that one to have gotten a lot bigger, but it's probably because of where I planted it. This is the sweet lemon, sweet basil. Sweet Danny lemon basil. There we go. I was gonna get it eventually. I didn't particularly like the flavor of this one, but I'm gonna let it just bloom for the pollinators. But I probably won't grow it again, flavor-wise. I also made the basil tea with it, thinking, you know, like, it's supposed to have a lemony flavor, but I didn't really particularly like it. These are the beefsteak tomatoes, still from the summer, but they're doing well now, with flowers on them. You can see there. So, leaving them be. We have a calendula still in bloom. The Scotch bonnet, and it did have another piece coming off here, but something weird happened to it, and it kind of looks like something weird's happening to the whole plant. And then back there we have ginger. Here we have statice. It's pretty blooms. More basil, some sweet alyssum, a sunflower. I'm really hopeful that this will be like my first proper, like true tall sunflower. We have straw flower, the only one that still has some green on it. This is the cold hardy rosemary. I just moved over here because the area that it was planted in, I'm planning to take it down. And then our blackberry back there. So I think next year what I might do is like closer to the trellis area, put some strawberries. That way they'll get really good shade, because I think that's what they don't like is the heat. All right, well, that is the 6th garden tour for 2023.